Hello everyone. So today our topic is the recoverable schedules, and this is also defined in the transaction processing system. So in this transaction processing system, whenever if we are going to define any kind of schedule, so you very well know this is a schedule. This is one example which we are given the schedule. So here the two transactions which are going to be executing. The first transaction is going to be calling it as T8, and the second transaction is going to be call it as T9. So here the T8 transaction is executing read A after reading the data item of A, and it is executing the write operation. Then after completion of the write operation of A, the T9 executes the read operation of A. So in any case, so nothing but whenever any transaction reads a particular data item, so the previous transaction must be completed its write operation. So nothing but if T9 wants to read the A data item, then the particular data item A must be the write operation must be completed by the T8 data item. So here in this case, what is our concept here is nothing but, so in this recoverable schedule, the concept is recoverable schedule. When we need recovery, whether the schedule which we define is recoverable or not, whenever any kind of transaction failure occurs. So nothing but the recovery mechanism here we are going to be discussed in the case of any kind of transaction failure occurs, how you can recover the transaction, how you can restore the values of the particular operations or instructions of that particular operations, whether it has been completed read or write or commit or it has been aborted. So for which values we have to be restored. So here in this case, this can be defined with a schedule. So all the instructions which are going to be properly defined in a serial order, in a non-serial order, in a schedule. So here in this case, you can observe whether this schedule is recoverable or not. If the transaction failure occurs during the execution of these two, T8 and T9 transaction. So if T8 transaction get failed or T9 transaction get failed, then what we have to do? For which values we have to restore the particular transaction or particular data items. In this case, this schedule belongs to recoverable or not recoverable. So that is our concept. So here in this case, so here the first concept is here in this case you can observe in the transaction failure only. So in the transaction failures for which the transactions which are currently running. So in this case we need the recoverable schedule. In this case we need the recovery schedule. And what is the definition of the recoverable schedule? So here we are observing the Ti and Tj, two transactions we are taken. So let us Ti is nothing but Ti. Let us take an example. Ti is nothing but here the Ti. I am taking the example of Ti, and Tj is nothing but here I am taking the example of T9. So if Tj nothing but T9 wants to read a particular data item, already the data item must be completed the write operation for which the previously executed transaction. Means T9 wants to read A, then immediately previously write of A should be completed by T8. Then in this case the schedule is going to be recoverable. So here in this case you can observe the two things, whether if it is committed or not. So nothing but if T9 wants to read the particular data item, Ti must complete its commit operation. So here in this case it must complete its write operation. So after it is executing the commit operation, then whatever the value reads by the T9, so that is perfectly consistent value without having any errors. If there is no commit after write of A, if there is no commit here, then T9 reads the value and T9 executes write and T9 commits. But before that T8 transaction is aborts, then the whatever the value is read by the T9 is improper value, inconsistent value. So here in this case, whether the schedule is recoverable or not. So this can be defined with the two types of things here. So one mechanism which we are going to be using it as the cascading rollback. So you can observe the first thing is whether the schedule is recoverable or not. First our condition is if any transaction wants to execute the read of A. So nothing but if any transaction wants to execute the read of A, then automatically previously write of A should be completed. So that is our first case. In that case the schedule is recoverable. Now here the schedule is recoverable. Why? Because T9 reads the data item of A. So before that it executes the write of A. So now in this case the schedule is recoverable. So in next thing. So here we are going to observe. So here we are going to write one thing here. So likewise the schedule, the second thing is here cascading rollback here. First condition, read operation must be completed. Before that, previously write operation must be executed. So that is the first condition. In this case, the schedule is going to be recoverable. And second, we are going to observe the second one, cascading rollback. So, and this is important for your short answer questions, cascading rollback. So what is cascading? So how you can define this cascading? Cascading is nothing but here, whenever any single transaction failure occurs, then automatically it leading to multiple number of transaction failures. So here in this schedule you can observe the three transactions are executing. The first one is T10, second one is T11 and third one is T12. So what T10 executes first, read of A, read of B and write of A. So it completes read A and write A. So after write of A, then T11 reads the data item A. So here it completes the write operation of A. Then T11 starts read of A. So then it completes the write of A. Then T12 starts read of A. So here in this case you can observe that. So T11 performs read operation of A after completion of write of A. So and it performs write, and T12 performs read A and it is already written by T11. So here in this case, so it performs write operation and it also performs read and write operation. Then in this case, after T11 and T12 has been executed, after completion of T11 and T12, T10 is aborted. If T10 is aborted, so T10 is aborted means it is unsuccessful and the value is inconsistent value. So the inconsistent value is read by T11, so it is also inconsistent. The inconsistent value is read by T12, it is also inconsistent. Means one single transaction failure leads to multiple transaction failures. If T10 is aborted, the aborted value is read by T11 and T12, so both are failed here. So here in this case, what we have to do? We have to cancel all the transactions. Cancel is nothing but here rollback. So we should call it as here rollback. Rollback is nothing but here cancel the transaction. Whatever the previously executed transaction is there, the previously executed transaction we have to roll back. So here in this case, whether this schedule, you can observe this schedule is recoverable or not. Yes, the cascading rollback schedule is recoverable. So nothing but if a single transaction failures, then automatically it should leads to multiple transaction failures. So all the transactions are storing the inconsistent and improper values. So for this purpose, and this schedule is recoverable, so you can recover. So what we how you can recover? You can restore the values of T10 with the initial value. So likewise it can execute properly and it has to execute the commit. And after commit, whatever the value is read by T11 is consistent. And after the commit of T11, whatever the value is read by T12 is committed. So for this purpose, consistent. So likewise, a single transaction failure leads to multiple transaction failures. In this case, the schedule is recoverable schedule. What we have to execute means you have to execute the rollback operation, means you have to cancel all the transactions and you have to restart the freshly, and you have to activate the new transaction with the old value. And in this case, and you can execute until you have to wait for the transaction has been properly committed. So and if the transaction is committed, whatever the values read by the next coming transactions, all are consistent values. So it executes the perfectly the consistency of the database. And next, one more schedule is here. You can observe the second type of method is here cascadeless schedule. So here in this case, the cascadeless schedule. So the cascadeless schedule is nothing but here. So before that, what we have observed here, there is no commit. So T10 there is no commit, and T11 and T12 both are executing here. Nothing but it is aborted in this case here. Then you can observe in the cascadeless schedules, you can observe the example here, each pair of transactions. You are taking each pair of transaction Ti and Tj. So what Ti and Tj is executing? Tj reads a data item. So nothing but Tj reads a particular data item. Nothing but whatever the previous example T8 and T9 we have taken already. So T9 reads the data item the previously which T8 must complete its write operation. And after that nothing but Tj reads a value which is already written by Ti. So now it is perfectly correct. So if the second transaction is going to be wants to read the previous, the first transaction must be written. and the commit operation appears before read of TJ. So nothing but the TJ wants to read a particular data item. Before that, the TI must complete the commit operation. Then only in that particular case, the schedule is going to be calling it as here. The schedule which is going to be calling it as here, the perfectly a recoverable schedule. In this case, the schedule is going to be called it as perfectly a recoverable schedule. Perfectly a recoverable schedule. So likewise, we should execute each and every transaction. So observe this. The cascading rollback is nothing but leading to multiple transaction failures. What you have to done? We have to roll back. Nothing but cancel the transaction and you have to restart the transaction. So in the cascadeless schedule means you have to observe. So likewise, in this case, after write of A, then there must be commit operation, and after commit only the T11 can execute, nothing but the next transaction can execute the read operation. Then in this case also after commit, nothing but after commit is there is nothing but the next transaction reads the properly exact value. For this case, the transaction is going to be calling it as here perfectly the recoverable schedule. So likewise, we should execute both the cascading rollback and next one is the cascadeless schedule, nothing but before commit and after commit. So before commit means if it is aborted, you should roll back. You should cancel the transaction. You should start with a new value. And after commit means, so whenever any transaction wants to read, the previous transaction must complete the write operation and the previous transaction must be first committed. Then only after commit of that transaction only, then the next transaction starts read operation. So likewise, you can recover the type of schedules, whether they are properly committed or not. So you can recover the entire data for the particular transactions. Hope you understood. Thank you.